Welcome to this Chromperfect training video. This video was produced using Chromperfect version 8 and Windows 11. Other versions of the software and operating system may be slightly different. Check your manual for information about your version of Chromperfect. This presentation is taken from the Chromperfect main manual, which is supplied with all modern Chromperfect systems in PDF format and is installed with the software. To view any of the manuals, please locate the following directory on your computer. C:/cpdata/manuals. Note that you will need a PDF reader installed on your computer to open the documents. This video is part of a wider chapter looking at specific Chromperfect features. The History Program. The Chromperfect History Program allows the user to display all or selected data log, error log, and alarm log entries, archive log files, and generate printed reports. Users may or may not have privileges to view the log files. Users that may view the log files may or may not have privileges to archive the log files. To launch the History Program, click on the main menu's History button. The following form will appear. Each of the items on this form is explained in a section below. The File menu items. There are no save or print items in this menu. This program does not edit files, and printing is initiated elsewhere. The Exit item terminates the History Program. The Help menu items. The Help menu has two items, Manual and About. The Manual item invokes the Help program and displays the table of contents. The About form invokes an informational dialog described elsewhere. The Common controls. As shown in the figure above, there are two frames immediately below the menu bar. These control the appearance of the lists that display log entries. The frame captioned List entries belonging to determines whether all log entries will be displayed, or only those generated by the current user. The frame captioned Select Date Range to List determines whether all log entries will be displayed, or only those before, after, or between specified dates. To avoid listing entries before a certain date, check the upper box and enter the cutoff date. To avoid listing entries after a certain date, check the lower box and enter the cutoff date. To list only entries between certain dates, check both boxes and enter both cutoff dates. There are 4 kinds of log, and a tab page for each one. At the bottom of the tab page is a summary of the log contents. The number of entries is displayed, along with date and time of the first and most recent entries. To display the entries, press the button. There will be a short delay while the file is read, then the report form will appear. This form contains a list box that displays the selected items. If the datalog file contains more items that match the selection criteria, then the phrase, "Not all entries are listed," will appear in the caption. It is possible to view several of these forms simultaneously, each form displaying entries according to different selection criteria. To do so, simply change the selection criteria and press the Read Log button again. The Datalog tab. The Datalog tab section provides 2 ways to display datalog entries. One way is to list all entries of a specified type or types. The other way is to list all entries matching a single file name. The List Entries by Type tab section, shown in the illustration above, has several checkboxes that control which type of datalog entries will be displayed. If the box captioned All Files is checked, then the others will be dimmed. These checkboxes, along with the controls at the top of the form, determine the selection criteria for datalog entries. The List Entries for Single File tab section provides a list box that controls the file type of interest. All the Chromperfect file types are supported. Once the file type is chosen, the pull-down list in the file prompt control will display the user's recent files for that file type. In this way, or by browsing or typing, the user provides a fully qualified file name. This file name, along with the controls at the top of the form, determines the selection criteria for datalog entries. In its simplest form, an exact match, path and all, is required, any entries regarding the named file when it resided in another directory will not be displayed. However, the search may be widened. If the checkbox captioned Ignore Path when matching entries is checked, then the path will be ignored and all entries matching the file name will be displayed, regardless of their location at the time of logging. To display the datalog entries, set the visible controls as desired, then press the button captioned Read Datalog. There will be a short delay while the file is read, then the following form will appear. The columns in the list display the several items in a datalog entry. The content of these items depends on the type of entry, and some entries do not use all items but leave some blank. All entries have the following items: the date, time stamp, indicating when the entry was generated; the action, indicating the type of entry; the application name, indicating which Chromperfect program generated the entry; the user's name, indicating which user generated the entry; the computer name, indicating which station generated the entry when the log file is not local. File write entries, and those otherwise involving a file, list the file name and version number in the respective columns. Print entries list the print serial number in the version column if the printed report contains a watermark, otherwise, the version is 0. Consecutive print entries usually, but not always, show consecutive print serial numbers. Gaps can be caused in several ways. Data logging may have been temporarily disabled. Logging of print actions may have been temporarily disabled. The print serial number is incremented every time a user previews a report that has a watermark, but only those reports that are printed generate a datalog entry. The print serial number is a system-wide feature, so if each station has its own log files, then the missing serial numbers may have been logged elsewhere. Calibration update entries list the level that was updated in the level column, and the name of the raw data or bound data file that was used to update that level in the From File field. Raw data file write entries also use the From File field. If the raw data file was generated by acquisition, then this field contains the name of the instrument that generated the file. If the raw data file was generated by the convert utility, then this field contains the name of the file that was converted. Raw data and bound data file write entries list the sample name and method name in the respective columns. The Error Log tab. The Error Log tab section does not have checkboxes that control which type of entries will be displayed. Only the controls at the top of the form determine the selection criteria for error log entries. To display the error log entries, set the controls at the top of the form as desired, then press the button captioned Read Error Log. There will be a short delay while the file is read, then the following form will appear. The columns in the list display the several items in an error log entry. The content of these items depends on the type of entry, and some entries do not use all items but leave some blank. All entries have the following items: the date, time stamp, indicating when the entry was generated; the action, indicating the type of entry; the error code, indicating what went wrong; the application name, indicating which Chromperfect program generated the entry; the application version, indicating the version number of the Chromperfect program; the function, indicating where the error was generated within the program; the user's name, indicating which user generated the entry; the computer name, indicating which station generated the entry when the log file is not local. Most entries involve a file and list the file name in the file name column. Certain errors supply additional information in the AUX1 and AUX2 columns. Several calibration errors display the component name in the AUX1 column and the level in the AUX2 column. Script file errors display the offending line number in the AUX1 column. Most, but not all, logged errors also appear on the screen. The list does not contain the text of the message that appeared on the screen, but if you double-click on the first column of an entry, then the error message will be regenerated. The Alarm Log tab. The Alarm Log tab section does not have checkboxes that control which type of entries will be displayed. Only the controls at the top of the form determine the selection criteria for alarm log entries. To display the alarm log entries, set the controls at the top of the form as desired, then press the button captioned Read Alarm Log. There will be a short delay while the file is read, then the following form will appear. Alarm log entries have the following items: the date, time stamp, indicating when the entry was generated. The action, indicating the type of entry. The file name, indicating the bound data file that generated the alarm. The alarm type. The alarm data, the content of which depends on the alarm type. The user's name, indicating which user generated the entry. The computer name, indicating which station generated the entry when the log file is not local. The content of the alarm data field depends on the alarm type. New wave alarm arg1, wave file name. New hardware alarm arg1, arg2, arg3. New email alarm arg1, arg2, hex. New user program alarm, empty. Dismissed alarm same as new alarm of same type. Manual change to hardware blank. Changed hardware configuration blank. Changed email address blank. Changed pager phone numbers blank. The admin log tab. The admin log tab section does not have checkboxes that control which type of entries will be displayed. Only the controls at the top of the form determine the selection criteria for admin log entries. To display the admin log entries, set the controls at the top of the form as desired, then press the button captioned Read Admin Log. There will be a short delay while the file is read, then the form will appear. The columns in the list display the date, time stamp, and the details of the logged action. If the button is dimmed, then only the administrator may view this log. The Options tab. The Options tab section is shown below. The frame at the top of this section contains a text box containing the maximum number of entries to list. The range of this setting is 20 to 2000. If too many entries are listed, then the display forms will become slow. If the number of log file entries that match the selection criteria exceeds the maximum, then the phrase, "Not all entries are listed," will appear in the display form's caption. The frame at the bottom of this section contains the archive controls. The active log file names are cpdata.log, cperror.log, cpalarm.log, and cpadmin.log. If these files do not exist, they will be created when the first entry is generated. Whenever one of the archive buttons is pressed, the corresponding file is renamed. For example, the first archived datalog file is cpdata1.log, the second, cpdata2.log, and so forth. The archived files reside in the same directory as the active log file and must remain there if they are to be viewable. If the user lacks permission to archive log files, then all the archive buttons will be dimmed. In addition, if only the administrator may view the administrator log, then that button may be dimmed. Normally, this program displays the active log files. However, if the checkbox captioned Read Log Files using alternate file names is checked, then the file prompt controls become active, and the user may use the Recent Files list or the Browse button to switch to an archived log file. It is useless to browse in other directories. You may find a log file, but it will not be read because the path will be changed back to the original log file path. Archiving log files generates a datalog entry, providing an audit trail to the previous archived log files. Printing selected entries. The display forms contain a menu bar with a single menu, File. Under this menu are 3 print items that will send the displayed entries to the printer, the preview form, or a text file. 1 line is printed for each entry. In most cases, it is not necessary to print every column. If all the columns are printed, then the text will flow off the right side of the page unless the font is small. Choosing the Print Options item allows the user to select the columns of interest and suppress the rest. It is also possible to reduce the width of printed columns by stripping the paths from all file names. These settings do not affect the display form itself, but only the printout. A typical printout appears below.